to episode 1 of Evening Talks About Football.
I'm Jim Moore.
I'm Connor Moore.
And today we're going to be talking a little bit about the draft, the future of the Steelers, and at the very end, we're going to be making some wildly bold predictions about the new season.
Yeah. So you know what? I think we should probably start with free agency because that's coming up towards the middle of the month. We're still almost 2 months away from the draft. So the free agency is really going to be a big deal. Maybe we can get some linemen. I don't know if you've heard of a guy named Taylor Lewan.
Taylor Lewan. Was he the guy that was trained by Troy Polamalu? Didn't he get training from, what team does he play for? Did he play
Taylor Lewan. So Taylor Lewan's an offensive lineman for the Titans.
Oh, I'm totally wrong.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no near. Taylor Lewan. Yeah, so he has a podcast. It's called Bussin' with the Boys. It's like only slightly less popular than Pat McAfee's podcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big dog.
Little more popular than this one, but like not that much.
Let's hope.
No. So Taylor Lewan, yeah, he's come out and he said on his podcast that he wants to come and play for Pittsburgh.
Wow.
He's a really good offensive lineman. He's had some knee injuries, I think, but the problem is he has a history with TJ Watt. All right, so I think he said during TJ's rookie year, he was playing the Steelers and they were kind of going at it, and they were talking back and forth, and TJ and TJ was talking smack to Taylor, and things escalated where Taylor Lewan actually spit on TJ Watt and punched him in the balls.
That could be a problem. I'm not sure you want to punch the big dog in the balls.
Well, so that's the thing. Everybody's saying I don't know if these guys should be teammates or not.
Yeah, but things like that tend to work out in the end. I mean, I know there have been different teammates over the years, whether that be Deion Sanders and various people with the Dallas Cowboys. They had real problems. And even, what was his name? Terrell Owens. I remember at one point went and he stood on the Dallas Star when he played for the San Francisco 49ers. But
right.
When he came to Dallas to play, all was forgiven. So
that after?
It was after, yeah.
Oh, okay.
They tend to work themselves out. But spitting and punching in the balls, that's a little different.
It's assault, yeah. Assault and harassment. But, yeah, so he said, Taylor Lewan said that once he spat on TJ Watt, both TJ Watt and Bud Dupree went and tried to jump him, which is understandable. Bud Dupree has his back.
I mean, yeah, I'm even little old me. I'm not sure I'd be happy if someone both spit on me and punched me in the balls. I'm not sure I'd appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe one, but like both is a lot. But yeah, so people are saying, Taylor Lewan would be really good for our offensive line, but there's also like, if TJ is not okay with it, we should not bring this guy in.
Absolutely not.
I think you don't.
He is the franchise at this point.
Yeah, you don't want to upset TJ by any means necessary, really. I mean, bringing this guy in would help protect Kenny maybe, but like, if it's going to upset TJ and make TJ leave in like 3 years or something, we don't do it. I don't think we do it.
No, I agree. So we have, one first-round pick at number 17?
Yeah, in the draft this year, yeah.
Right. And then an early first-round pick at 33?
32.
32.
Because the Miami Dolphins lost their first-round draft pick.
All that hysterical, but that's right. And then we have another pick later in the second round.
Yep.
So what do you think? I think that there's a couple ways to go here. I mean, we definitely need line help, and the better the line help, I think the better off the team is. Mm-hmm. But there are some interesting people that are within that first pick as well. Like you were mentioning someone earlier today.
Yeah. So Jordan Addison, he's Kenny Pickett's college wide receiver. I mean, the teammate aspect has been very popular the past couple of years. Joe Burrow got reunited with Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow became elite.
And that's worked out fairly well for everyone involved.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith have in Philadelphia. There's a number of them. I think Tua and Jalen Waddle played together at Alabama.
Right.
So I think there's definitely benefits, but like wide receiver isn't necessarily the Steelers' biggest need. I don't know if that's in their top 3 biggest needs, to be honest.
So going into this last season, who was your number 1, number 2, and number 3 wide receivers for the Steelers last year?
Last year,
Yeah.
going into last year, I mean, it was Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, and then George Pickens. And
Right.
we just drafted him.
Right. So this year, obviously, in my opinion, George Pickens has jumped over Deontay in terms of being the wide receiver 1.
Oh, certainly.
But and in no small measure due to the dropsies that unfortunately sometimes Deontay brings to the table.
Yeah, I mean, Deontay's a great player. Everybody knows that. He does have some errors sometimes. I mean, just catching the ball and honestly, like mistakes you wouldn't expect from one of the top NFL wide receivers.
Right.
And he had 0 touchdowns all year. He had like 80 somewhat receptions, but 0 touchdowns. And that's kind of rare.
Right. And it's not because he's any better or worse a receiver. It's just in that case, it was just kind of bad luck. There were a couple of times when he got in, it was called back for a penalty, or he caught the ball and was trying, especially in the last couple of games, to get into the end zone and just happened to fall short or be tackled at the 1 or something like that.
Yeah, what'd you think of I think we were playing the Panthers, and Deontay got like a really nice first down where he juked some guys out, and then he got a penalty because he like taunted or something.
Right. And unfortunately, that's going to happen occasionally with a younger person. And Deontay Johnson's still a very young wide receiver.
Yeah.
But the Steelers had way too many of those insane penalties, like someone that wasn't even in uniform running onto the field.
Yeah.
And they just seem to always happen in really bad times. Like I remember the one penalty against, and this wasn't Cam Hayward's fault in any way. He was pulled down onto the running back, and he got a 15-yard penalty for unnecessary roughness for being pushed or pulled down onto the guy.
I think that was the Ravens. Yeah,
that was the Ravens, right? And that's a big rivalry, and shit like that happens. But but who I think personally, I would be fine if them going for an offensive lineman in the first pick, and maybe an O lineman or a cornerback in the second pick.
Well, a lot of people, I mean, like offensive linemen, it's not a sexy pick. Most people are wanting a skill position or something like that. But a lot of people around Pittsburgh are saying we should get Joey Porter Jr. And I saw a picture today of Joey Porter holding Joey Porter Jr. in like 2006 or something.
Right, probably the time did Joey Porter go to the Super Bowl? I'm assuming he did.
I think he did, yeah.
Maybe the year that one of the years that they went to the Super Bowl, or at least went to the AFC Championship.
Yeah, let me try to pull it up. But it's a picture of Joey Porter holding his son, and then his son at Penn State.
Well, and I mean, we've had a lot of good luck with folks from Penn State. We've had Jack Ham, we had Franco Harris,
and newer players as well.
Are you saying I'm old?
Yeah. Here's the photo. So Joey Porter in 2006.
Yeah, right.
Joey
and that
Porter
was
Jr.
Super Bowl 40. So there's an XL patch on his shoulder pad there. So that was Super Bowl 40. That was the one in Detroit, and that's the one where Jerome Bettis had the perfect ending to a great career by retiring after winning the Super Bowl in his hometown.
Yep.
But yeah, so I've watched a few games with Joey Porter Jr. playing this year. He certainly is a great corner. The Jordan Addison thing is really appealing. But, I mean, right now the Steelers have a pretty good wide receiver core. And a lot of it depends on Calvin Austin. Is Calvin Austin all that he's purported to be? Is he going to be injury prone, or is he going to be that incredibly fast wide receiver that can blow the top off of a defense and allow for a lot of things to happen underneath?
Well, it's so hard because we didn't get to see him play a down of football in the regular season last year. He wasn't hurt for the whole year, but he was on injured reserved, and they had to say he was coming off injured reserved, and they had, I don't remember if it was 20 somewhat days to promote him to the active roster, and they just missed that. So he had to stay out the entire year after that.
Right.
It was a very, very bad scenario, but
right. But
George Pickens shined in that time.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, but the only thing is, if you don't pick up the fellow from Pitt, Suddenly I've lost his name. Jordan Addison.
Jordan
But,
Addison. Jordan Addison.
But yeah, but if you don't pick up him, and let's say something happens to one of your number one or number two wide receivers, it would be sure nice to have someone like Jordan Addison who's super familiar with Kenny Pickett, been super productive with Kenny Pickett. It'd be really nice to have someone like that in the backfield.
Yeah, I agree.
Back up, not backfield.
Yep. That's episode 1. We're learning it. But no, I mean, I think so. I think I'd probably, if I were the Steelers GM, I would probably want to get value with the 32nd overall pick and get a lineman then. And then I'd probably get Joey Porter Jr. because that seems like such a Steelers pick to get a legacy of like one of their great former players. And then just he's also like this great cornerback at Penn State.
Well, we've done fairly well with the legacies, with the Watt brothers and the Haywood brothers.
Yeah, I mean, are those legacies or is it legacy father-son? Does it have to be?
Technically, I guess it's actually father son, but I mean, the family aspect of things, I guess we do pretty well with.
When you're here, your family. That's the Steelers motto now. Taking it.
and Olive Garden. So.
Yeah. Well, no, not anymore. They got a new one. Yeah. Nah, I'd probably get Joey Porter Jr. That's probably the smart thing to do. But to me, I don't want to be smart right now. I kind of just want Jordan Addison and then have George Pickens and Jordan Addison.
That's a scary combination. But...
And I don't. Look, I love Deontay, but if we could like trade him for, I'd probably take like if we get a first round pick for Deontay. I don't know if he'd go for that, but if we could, I would give him for a first round and then draft Jordan Addison, or if we could just do even like a second and like a fourth for Deontay, I think we'd do that.
So at 32, what kind of an O lineman do you think you could still get at that point?
I don't even know. I mean,
your top guys are going to go probably top 15 picks. Maybe it falls to 17. I don't know.
I don't think this is a huge year for offensive linemen. I don't think, not like last year. Last year, there were a lot of offensive linemen. This year, there's supposed to be like 4 QBs that have the potential to be franchise QBs. So there's Bryce Young from Alabama, CJ Stroud from Ohio State, Anthony Richardson from Florida, and Will Levis from Kentucky. Those are the 4 guys that people have their eyes on.
Right.
But, I mean, I think Brock Purdy proved last year that scouts don't always get it right. I mean, here's the last pick of the draft, Mr. Irrelevant. And he balled out last year, Lance and then Garoppolo went down, and he just stepped up big time.
Yeah, and he's one injury away from actually getting into the Super Bowl. Yeah. So, yeah, that's...
He would have made history. He would have been the first rookie to ever play in the Super Bowl, but they, what did he do to his elbow? UCL or something?
Yeah, it was a hyperextension, some sort of a ligament damage in the elbow.
I think he tore his UCL.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that they're getting close. He has to have surgery. Like, if he hasn't had it already, he has to have it very soon, or he's not going to be ready for the start of the year.
Yeah, my God, and then what do they do?
They go back to Lance.
But we're not talking 49ers football. Because we're from Pittsburgh. Connor was born in Pittsburgh. So we are Steeler fans through and through.
Where were you born?
I was born in Waynesburg, way down in Greene County.
Yeah. Not very far, though, from Pittsburgh.
40 miles, 35 miles, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's an important year. It's a big year. We do definitely, either through free agency or through the draft, we have to get rid of Dan Moore. Let's be totally honest about it. Dan Moore, the left tackle. The tackle, the blocking missing, and also the penalty driven dude. I mean, he just let's replace Dan Moore. The other guy they brought in, I can't remember what really he had
James Daniel.
Yeah, he had 0 sacks allowed on any of the quarterbacks. That was a great pick.
Yeah, I think
Mason Cole was what?
He was a center.
Yeah, but I mean, did he? I don't remember him having either a great year or a bad year, either one.
I mean, the only time you really hear about offensive linemen is if they're like extremely good, and like commentators will say, this is the best offensive line Pittsburgh's had in years or something. Or if they're extremely bad and have a lot of penalties, like in Dan Moore's case this past year, you hear Dan Moore illegal man downfield or something like that.
Like how many times did that happen?
Yeah. So a good offensive lineman you don't want to hear about very often.
Right, exactly. That's a great point. But like I remember the Steelers when they were very, very, very bad. As a matter of fact, I remember being a little boy, and
when they founded the team
in
1933.
Not quite that
No.
old, but no. When my father was watching Steelers football, and we were bad, really bad that year, and all we had to do was like lose the last game, I think it was, and then we get Joe Namath, who was a Pittsburgh from Beaver Falls, kind of a prospect, and Alabama guy under Bear Bryant, so I had a great quarterback. I think he won the Heisman Trophy that year as well, and all we had to do was lose the last game, and then we would have had Joe Namath. But we won instead, a la the New York Jets, a la the Jackson Jaguars. And I just remember my father saying in abject frustration, they can't even lose when they need to lose. But shortly after that, things turned around and they started getting the right guys. And, and you mentioned sexy pick earlier. And that was one thing they really weren't under Chuck Noll so concerned about. He wanted to build the team from the lines out. So O-line and D-line. So you had great offensive linemen, great defensive linemen, and you could do that Steeler-type football where you can run the ball and you can stop the run. And that's really the secret sauce of the Steelers in the 70s. They had the very best, most talented team for that entire decade, but it all started with offensive line and defensive line.
Yeah, you think we should do that to rebuild Steelers nowadays?
It's not sexy, but it has in the past. It did bear a lot of fruit in the 70s and 80s.
It gets the job done.
It does, and and then they started a horrible, when in the 1980s, we couldn't find a quarterback at that point. We went through the Cliff Stouts, the Kent Grahams, the Bubby Bristers, the Mark Malones, and that sort of thing. We passed up, of course, on Dan Marino, which really was a horrible thing. And Art Rooney Sr., too, his dying days, said he really regretted that the most, that they didn't pick up Dan Marino. And I regret it, too, because with Dan Marino in those Steeler teams of that era, they probably won a Super Bowl or two at the very minimum.
Yeah, this is like a history lesson for me, like going over the past Steelers history.
Come and sit on my knee, boy, and I'll tell you a little bit more about Steeler history.
Yeah. No, but who's the current owner of the Steelers? It's Art again, right?
I think it's Art Rooney, yeah.
Yeah. He said, and one of the reasons they wanted to draft Kenny Pickett so badly was that they passed on Dan Marino, like a lot of teams did. And they were like, we shouldn't have passed on him. He was right here. He was next door, basically.
That would have been such an amazing, amazing thing, because he grew up, his house where he grew up at was within vision. He could actually see the Tower of Learning there at Pitt. So he could actually see Pitt from where he lived. So he went from Central Catholic to Pitt and to Pittsburgh to the Steelers. That would have been, I don't know, that would have been an amazing sort of a thing to come through. But unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Yeah, but sometimes you go to the Dolphins and win those Super Bowls. That's that's what you gotta do.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're kind of in a similar way. You would actually like to see maybe Jordan Addison pick number 1.
I think Jordan Addison. I think Jordan Addison or Joey Porter Jr. are my 2 top picks, and I'm fine with either one. And then we probably get an offensive lineman, if not both of our second round picks, at least one of them. That people have said, like there's an article, the Steelers' New Year resolution should be to build a picket fence, protect Kenny Pickett.
Wow. I hope he coined that phrase.
It's pretty clever. No, it wasn't me. No.
Pickett to Pickens in Pittsburgh.
That's what we're hoping to hear for a long time now.
Absolutely. So, and as far as what I would like to see probably in the draft, basically would go something like, it would be sexy to pick either Jordan Atkins or Joey Porter with the first pick. It really would. But it's probably a smarter idea to pick the very, very best O-lineman regardless of position, with the first round pick, and then go, corner or wide receiver or whatever, with one of the 2 picks in the second round. The Steelers have had great luck picking up great wide receivers in the later rounds too. So that's something to always remember. But the whole college quarterback with these college wide receiver thing, it's really super.
Well, that's the type of thing you only get one chance to draft Kenny Pickett's college wide receiver.
It's true.
Who
was the other guy that you said might be of a similar skill level? Paris?
No, not similar skill level, but in free agency. So I read an article saying some like sneaky moves that the Steelers could do in free agency, and the receiver Paris Campbell from the Colts, he went to OSU
and underperformed, right? I mean,
yeah, well, he got hurt for a couple years, but yeah, he did underperform, and then this past year he did all right, and now they're probably gonna let him go, and if they do, the Steelers might want to look into signing him.
Absolutely, and one of the beautiful things about about the fact that free agency happens first. What if you pick up an amazing offensive lineman in free agency? Because there's a couple of really good linemen that had said that they would like to play for the Steelers. I can't remember the fellow from the Titans.
Yeah, it's Taylor Lewan, yeah.
Oh shit, sorry. That's right, I forgot.
Yeah,
but yeah, so yeah, if you pick up Taylor Lewan or someone like that in
it would be
free
great.
agency, then that frees you to take maybe the wide receiver that you want, or Joey Porter Jr. or something like that. But it would be really great if, because of the attachment to both of those guys, Joey Porter and Jordan Addison, that if you could pick up a great lineman in free agency and then pick up one of those 2 guys, I think Steeler fans would be happy with all that.
Honestly, I don't think it's impossible to imagine we get Taylor Lewan in free agency, and then we draft Jordan Addison, and we also draft Joey Porter Jr. if he falls to 32. And then with our second round pick, we draft another lineman. I think that would be almost best case scenario for the Steelers, to be honest. But
absolutely, and then maybe you get because let's talk about the edge rush. I mean, obviously, T.J. Watt, amazing, awesome as always, and then Alex Highsmith, great year too. So he's a great piece on the other end. But honestly, the one thing that kind of came through this year is the fact that we can't win without T.J. Watt in there.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to also, if we could find another edge rusher he's a once in a generation kind of a talent on the edge, but to find someone that will be similarly like, maybe on the cheap you pick up and bring back Bud Dupree. Now, I'm not saying he's TJ Watt, but if something happens to Alex Highsmith or TJ Watt this year and they're out for a couple games, maybe you don't lose all those games. Maybe you can actually, kind of recover from that. But if we could get another great edge rusher to kind of supplement those 2 guys, the rest of the line is good. I think we've seen the last of Bush in a Steelers uniforms.
they say he's not coming back.
Yeah. But, and with the other linebackers, I think we're in good shape there. If Terrell Austin is as great as maybe he...
Oh, Bud Dupree is still signed with the Titans. He signed for 5 years, 2 years ago.
Yeah, but there was some talk of to lessen the cap impact that they would just release him.
Wow, that would be hard to believe. They paid like $82 million for him, but I don't know. I guess he hasn't panned out there.
Well, he's been injured. He really hasn't played all that much. He's been injured both seasons, and I can't remember the total number of games he played in both years that he's been there. But it wasn't anything near what they thought they were getting when they brought him over from Pittsburgh. But let's face it,
TJ had a great connection, though.
Well, absolutely, and to be honest, if you put me on the other side, well, okay, that's a bit of a reach. If you put a talented athlete,
you just compare yourself to a talented athlete. Okay.
There was a time. Your old man wasn't always a gimpy old.
Yeah, fullback. Dude. There you go. Played fullback.
Yeah, run real hard and run into someone really hard.
That's block for the running back.
And please, for the love of God, on the punt returns, I don't care if you just fall forward. Don't run backwards. Hey, that's a great thing. And take it from me, Deontay Johnson. Don't do that. Catch the ball and go forward.
He has been doing that a lot, and not only on returns, but on different mid range passes, he'll catch the ball and then he'll try to go back beyond the line and get like 5 extra yards or 10 extra yards, make a big play instead of just, turning his shoulder and getting the first down.
Yeah, and honestly, there's something in that. I mean, I totally understand it. Like I honestly remember, a coach saying to me, "Please, just don't run backwards." And I'd say, "Yeah, I understand. I get it. I'm on the same page." And then I'd catch the ball, and I think I'd see something that wasn't there, and I'd run backwards and get tackled for a loss. And with veins sticking out of the coach's neck, he'd come over and just shaking with anger, and he'd say, "What did I tell you before you cut the ball?" And I said, "Don't run backwards." And he'd say, "What did you do?" And I'd say, "I ran backwards." So
I ran sideways.
I ran sideways and still managed to lose 5 yards. Yeah. So
sure, you love that.
But it's understandable. Anyways, okay. Come now to the time where we make one outrageous pick for this season with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you go first.
What do you mean? What outrageous pick? In the draft?
Anything. The draft, something that maybe you would you like me to go first?
I mean, it's your thing. Yeah, go ahead. I wasn't prepped about this, by the way. I don't know.
This year on the Pittsburgh Steelers, the number 1 wide receiver is going to be Calvin Austin.
Wow. Yeah, that is a bold take. Okay. Yeah, that's not going to happen, but cool. My bold prediction is that we keep Matt Canada all year. We don't fire him.
You just broke your old man's heart by saying that.
Look, it's a bold prediction. It's not necessarily going to happen.
So you think Matt Canada is going to be the number 1? He's going to be the offensive coordinator for the whole year.
Yeah.
That smells like some serious bullshit to me.
Well, that's why we didn't ask you fly on the wall.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's my bold prediction. Tomlin had the opportunity many times last year to get rid of him if he wanted to, and he just was loyal to him. And I guess Kenny had a connection with him, but.
Well, okay. So before we go, Mike Tomlin, amazing coach or not?
Or you're going to say he's carried by Big Ben?
No, I'm not going to say he's been carried by Big Ben, but some people would.
Yeah. No, he's a great coach. He's a great coach.
So I think he's a very good coach. I think certainly, you hear every year Steeler fans going, well, we just need to fire Mike Tomlin. And I think he's a very good coach. He's an effective coach. I think he makes some bad decisions. He's not a great clock manager, but he's getting better. He's getting much better. But people, I saw something in the paper and something online from Steeler fans just this morning, and it showed a graphic. It said over the last 10 years, how many teams have had 0 losing seasons? How many teams have had 1 losing season? And then it goes down the entire gamut until you hit Cleveland, because they've had almost every season.
Yeah.
But basically, it showed that
the Lions might be up there.
Yeah, absolutely. But you see that there are only 2 teams that have had no losing seasons during the past 10 years. One of which is the Steelers.
Yeah.
And the other is, can you take a guess?
Green Bay Packers? No? Patriots?
Kansas City Chiefs.
Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, okay.
So because remember before Mahomes, they had Alex Smith, and he was good.
Yeah,
very good. No losing seasons. And that's the other thing. I don't necessarily equate non-losing seasons to winning seasons. They're 2 fairly different things. Not losing is not the same thing as winning.
Okay.
If your only metric there is Super Bowls.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, it's hard because for a long time they had 6 Super Bowls. No one else had 6 Super Bowls. Well, it's not the case anymore. Patriots have 6 Super Bowls. Tom Brady has 7. More than any franchise. I don't think you can specifically measure it by amount of Super Bowls.
You broke the one cardinal rule that there is on the show. Never ever mention the evil name of Tom Brady. Shit, I did it again.
You're going to be hearing a lot more of him. He got that $375 million Fox contract for 10 years as a commentator.
I don't care as long as he's not on the field. As long as he's not booting us out of the AFC Championship.
He'll just be in your ear the whole year.
Yeah, God, that's a good point. Too.
Earning $37.5 million.
I really don't watch Fox that much. I watch the others. I watch CBS.
Yeah, CBS.
So, anyways, okay. Well, listen, that brings us to the end of the.
One more thing I want to say: if we do sign Taylor Lewan to the Steelers, we have to get TJ Watt's approval on it. Because if we don't, that's going to mess up things with TJ, and then our franchise is going to be shot. And we just can't let that happen. So TJ has to sign off on Taylor Lewan coming.
Okay, you heard it from Connor. So Art Rooney, if you're listening there, get on the phone with Lewan, get on the phone with TJ, make sure it's okay.
I'm sure Art Rooney listens to our podcast. Anyway, thanks for listening. That wraps up episode 1 of Evening Talks About Football. I'm Connor Moore.
And I'm Jim Moore.
We'll see you next time.